Hello and welcome to another episode of I Want to Cook. This week I begin with not one but two culinary confessions. The first one is that before I went gluten-free, I really liked pancakes. Well, let's be real, I loved pancakes. I mean, who can resist a big fluffy stack of flour and sugar topped with even more sugar? My second culinary confession is that although I had a great recipe for homemade pancakes, more often than not, I used the Krusteaz brand as a shortcut. For a boxed, store-bought pancake mix, I thought it was really good. Which brings us up to today. I'm still gluten-free and I still like pancakes, and I was really excited when I found this in the store. This is Krusteaz brand pancake mix, but gluten-free for people like me and maybe people like you who don't eat gluten. So this video isn't sponsored by Krusteaz or anything like that. I was just excited to find this in the store, and I thought today I would cook it up and give it a try. So let's try some gluten-free pancakes. Okay, let's get started. For this recipe, I am just going to be doing exactly what it says on the box. And again, what I like about boxed pancakes recipes like this is that you really don't need much. You don't need to measure out baking soda or baking powder or any of that stuff. Everything's built in. And I should also mention that this primarily uses rice flour and whole grain sorghum flour as its main gluten-free ingredients instead of wheat flour. So there you go. It's got a bunch of other stuff in there too, but not too much. In addition to the mix, all this recipe calls for is water, milk, and an egg. So how easy is that? I should also mention, guys, before I get started, that look what I recently found at the thrift store. This is a vintage Tupperware mixing bowl, and this is really special to me because this is the exact same kind of mixing bowl that my mom had, and she would mix up pancakes for us on the weekends, and I was so stoked to find this. Check this out. I even found it with the lid. This is crazy. So anyways, I'm gonna mix up pancakes in this vintage Tupperware mixing bowl just like my mom did for us kids on the weekends. This is really cool. So let's get started here. This calls for 1 3/4 cups of mix. This is a 1 cup measuring cup here. Okay, that's 1, and then I'm gonna just kind of eyeball the 3/4 part. And when you're making pancakes, it doesn't have to be exact. It's not like other baking where you have to have really exact measurements. This is pancake mix. And we wouldn't be making pancakes if I didn't spread a little extra flour, or non-flour, I guess in this case, everywhere. So a little cleanup here. Okay, so there's our mix. This also calls for 1 cup of cold water. So I'm gonna put this in. And 1/3 cup of milk. I'm using just whole milk here. And finally, 1 egg. And I'm just gonna kind of mix this up into our batter. Do you like pancakes? And if you do you make pancakes with a mix, or do you make them from scratch? And by the way, making pancakes from scratch really is not hard. For traditional pancakes that use wheat that aren't gluten-free like this, you would basically just use flour, sugar, some baking powder. It's really simple. Back when I made my own pancakes, I used a recipe from The Joy of Cooking. That one never really failed me. It was always really good. And now it's time to make some pancakes. When cooking pancakes, I find it best to use a griddle. And this is called a double griddle, and what that means is it basically just fits over 2 burners of the range. So basically you get twice the surface area of a normal griddle. But you can always use just a single griddle pan. Usually they're square, non-stick, or maybe cast iron. They don't cost that much, but I would encourage you, if you're going to make pancakes or just griddle things often, to buy a higher quality one. This is an old Calphalon that I've had for many years. Again, works great, and it's ideal for applications like this. Okay, I've got my griddle heating over medium-high, and when you're cooking pancakes, you do want to use a higher heat. Pancakes cook really, really quickly. When you're cooking pancakes, of course, you want to do something called greasing the pan, and all that means is putting a layer of butter or oil on the griddle, and that's going to help the pancakes not stick. So I'm going to use a fair amount of butter here. And you see how that butter is just sizzling on the pan? That's exactly what you want. See, if we didn't do this, we would risk burning the pancakes. Okay, here it goes. The first pour of the gluten-free pancakes. I like to use mine about medium size. Of course, you know, you can make smaller pancakes like those silver dollar pancakes, or you can make those huge ones. I'm just gonna go for a medium size here. And by the way, according to Krusteaz, this is gonna make about 13 to 14 pancakes for this type of serving. Of course, you can make more or less. Okay, we're just gonna cook these for about a minute, minute and a half per side. What I like to do is look for that batter to start to bubble. And when that happens, you know you're kind of getting ready. Pancakes are really easy to make, but there's also kind of an art to it. And don't feel bad if like your first batch doesn't taste that good. In fact, it's kind of notorious with pancakes that the first batch that you make in the pan just aren't that great. I think that's just because the pan is still kind of getting warm, and you know, maybe things haven't found the rhythm yet, but don't worry if the first ones aren't that great. And to flip, I just have a plastic spatula here. Okay, we'll give the first one a flip. That actually looks really good. It's got some nice browning. That looks really good. And then when these are done, I just have an awaiting plate here that is going to kind of keep things warm. I have some foil over it. Okay, this one's breaking apart here, and that's probably my fault. I probably should have buttered that a little bit more. But you know, the great thing about pancakes is that even if they tear and they're not like perfect circles, they're still going to be delicious. I mean, it's fried batter, you know? Come on. See what I mean about the first batch? This guy in back here kind of fell apart. But right now my dog is thinking, you know what? Mess up as many pancakes as you want, because those messed up ones that don't look perfect, she's gonna get. Okay, I'm gonna turn down the heat here to about medium, because this thing's really cooking. And I'm gonna take this first batch out, let them kind of wait. I can tell this pan needs some more butter. And again, that first batch, there's just always something about the first batch of pancakes that just always aren't quite right. Okay, so we are just going to spread this butter all over the pan and pour. Okay, now I'll give this second batch a flip, and let's see how we're looking here. Oh yeah, this looks even better. Yeah, the color is more consistent, and again, I don't know, it's like that first batch is always a little bit wonky. It's nice to see that even with this gluten-free mix, that the batter still like behaves like a traditional wheat flour mix. Sometimes with gluten-free foods, you just never quite know how they're gonna cook up. And it's nice to see that this mimics a wheat flour based batter. Back when I was a kid, my mom would use the last of the batter and make me just like these little tiny pancakes. And they were always kind of special because they were mine. They were like made just for me. This third round looks even better than the second. I mean, just perfect color. Again, with pancakes, do not beat yourself up if the first batch just doesn't turn out the way you want. I think I think I'd be more surprised if the first batch did turn out perfect. It's just the way it is with pancakes. Okay, I'm gonna kill the heat here and just let the residual heat of the pan finish these guys up. And just like that, in less than 10 minutes, we've got a full batch of pancakes. The only thing left to do is give them a try and see how these are. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to pancakes. I just want some butter and some really good syrup, so that's all I'm going to put on mine. Of course, for your pancakes, you can put on whatever you want, whipped cream and bananas and strawberries and the works, but I'm going to judge these pancakes just really simple with butter and syrup the traditional way. One thing I do recommend is if you're going to have syrup, do it right. Get the real stuff. Get maple syrup. It costs more, but once you've had real maple syrup versus that, I don't know, that high fructose flavored stuff that isn't real syrup, not worth it. Okay, here it goes. Those are good. It tastes like a real pancake. These are fantastic. If I did not know that these were gluten-free and not from wheat flour, I would never guess it. Fantastic. Well done, Krusteaz. I am so stoked that I can easily make pancakes again that are gluten-free and work for me. And they don't cost very much either. The box was like $4.50 and really, really good. So yeah, if you are looking for a gluten-free pancake, try the Krusteaz. I do not think you will be disappointed. Let me know in the comments below if you try these. These are fantastic. Okay. I better do my outro here so that I can dive back into this plate of pancakes. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. Click that subscribe, click those like buttons if you haven't already. If you have a recipe request or something you're wondering about in the kitchen, just put that in the comments below and maybe I'll get to it on a future episode. Hey, thanks for watching and I will see you next time on I Want to Cook.